Howdy folks, I'm Jaunty Jasmine, juvenilely jousting with jovial jelly beans.
I remember.
And here are more jovial jelly beans for us to joust with, because we're knights in shining jelly bean armor. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Will I Be a Jerk for Going Back on a Promise to My Kids? First of all, thank you for reading this. Going back and forth on this has eaten me alive, and an outside view beyond my father would be a great help. When I met my now deceased wife, she had already had a successful career and owned a home while I was struggling to find footing in my industry. She helped me to get mature and to focus on my career more seriously, and eventually I broke through and started contributing to the bills. Even then, she was making 300,000 while I was scratching and crawling to earn 50,000. Well, eventually we ended up having 2 kids, a 19-year-old female and a 16-year-old male, before she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer and passed away shortly after that. She made me promise to pass down the house that I was set to inherit upon her death, and I did so with zero hesitancy, not knowing what life would have in store for me. The kids were made aware of this because they were present when it was laid upon me. It was very difficult for me to lose the love of my life, the apple of my eye, and I think it blinded me from seeing how difficult the promise would be to keep. Well, 4 months after her death, I ended up shopping at a Kroger's when I met my now fiance, a 29-year-old female, who has 3 kids of her own, a 10-year-old male, an 8-year-old female, and a 4-year-old female. We've been together for over 8 months, and the discussions have come about with moving in together. But she's wanting me to sell the house and buy a new construction together that wouldn't have the memories of her around every corner, which I completely understand. The 2 issues that are currently eating me alive are that the kids are extremely upset that we would lose mom's home, that I paid some bills for too, and my father is worried that by selling this home to buy a new one would mean that I would lose 50% of the equity if we separate in the future, which would mean that my biological kids would only stand to inherit 50%, while my fiance's kids would inherit the other 50%, which I don't think the kids are aware of because it would probably set off a nuclear bomb in the home. Well, I broke the news to the kids on Tuesday about our plans, and they've all but ceased talking to me, and have spoken pure vitriol on social media about me since then. But it hurts to see because we need to become a blended family, and they need to accept that they're going to have a stepmom and step siblings, and money shouldn't get in the way of family harmony, in my opinion. Will I be a jerk for reneging on my promise to my deceased wife and going through with a sale of the family home to ensure a new blended family can have a larger home to grow up in? Alright folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're a major jerk. Look, OP, if this really is the right person for you, you need to put the brakes on this relationship right now. Slow things down. It's been 8 months since your wife passed.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, I think a year.
Oh, a year. It's been a year since your wife passed. Yeah. You know, you've been with this woman for 8 months. You know, you started dating her 4 months after that passing. There's a good chance that some of this is grief, that there's some unhealthy things going on here. And I'm not sure she's with you for the right reasons. I'm not sure you're with her for the right reasons. So I would recommend, you know, marriage counseling, couples counseling, and easing into things very slowly. You want to rush into things. You want to sell off the family home. You want to force your kids to like have a new stepmom when the stepmom is like 10 years older than your 19-year-old. That's not going to go over well.
Well, you know, I love how he's like, I can't take the advice of my dad, who's being very sensible here. I need some outside perspective, fishing for like a alternate view on what would justify him. There is no view here that's going to justify you going back on the word to your deceased wife. You made a promise to uphold and or need to uphold that. Now, I understand the stepmom's, being uncomfortable with the fact that the house has a lot of other memories in it. But too bad, so sad. If you can't be comfortable with the fact that he's a widower, then don't marry him, don't get into this relationship.
Exactly, because OP's kids deserve to have the memories of their mother. And he is doing the exact opposite of what his kids need right now. They need to be reminded that their mother was an important person and that she's still, even though she's not with them, she's still an important force in their lives. They need that stability, that security, and you're just ready to shove it all aside for this new lady.
Well, and he's making this out to be a money issue. Oh, my kids are being greedy. Your kids are not being greedy. Your kids want the stability of the home that they know and love and have grown up in. And this isn't about money. This is about wanting to preserve the memory of their mother and wanting to preserve the home that their mother gave them. This is not your home to do with as you please. This is their home. And it's going to be passed on to them, and you can't just go ahead and do that. I mean, I think that OP here is being blindsided, and it is being blinded by their passion at the moment here. They're not making good decisions. No.
And which is why, I would definitely take a step back and, talk to a therapist, one-on-one, do some individual work to process where all this is coming from. And potentially work with a family counselor who's dealt with situations after grief, who will probably tell you to put the brakes on things until your kids have had time to process.
Yeah.
But do not keep barreling ahead and just force your kids out, or you're going to lose them.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to stick around and play happy little family.
Yeah, well, and I also think that this is the stepmom's first action to erase the memory of their mother, right? Because it's not going to stop here. If she's already this jealous about a home, how much more jealous is she going to get of everything else? And I mean, I think this is just the first step of many steps to basically overwrite the old mom.
Right, and and I just do not see this going well at all for OP's children.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Valuable Big 7211 says, are you on the deed? And did your wife leave at least a will? Depending on what state you live in, if in the US, and she passed away in state, your kids automatically own a percentage of the home. By the way, yes, you're the jerk. And OP replies, I was put on the deed shortly after the home was paid off, and my wife's will was made in 2011, where everything other than the family heirlooms were to be handed to me and the heirlooms to her sisters. And Independent Wheel 354 says, you're the jerk and you're in danger of losing your children forever to appease a woman, half your age, with 3 young kids that you just met. Think long and hard about what the future is going to look like. Let me guess, she suggested selling the house. And OP replies, yes, she suggested selling the house, but with pure intentions, 100%. She just doesn't want my deceased wife's memories to be constantly around while we raise our kids as a blended nuclear family. Yeah, she needs therapy, or she needs to dump you. If she can't, again, if she cannot live with the memory of you being a widower and memories of your former wife being around, then she is not ready for a relationship with you.
Yeah, and who else is a memory of your deceased wife? Your children.
Yeah.
She's going to either try to push them out entirely,
yeah,
or she's going to start demanding they call her mom. It's just, there's no good situation for this. I just feel so upset for the poor kids.
Yeah, the kids are going to be a constant memory of the mother too. And eventually, what's going to happen to them? Like Amber saying. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, I'm a 25-year-old female, and my boyfriend, a 26-year-old male's sister, is weirdly obsessed with him. He's taking her on holiday, and I don't know how to convince him that this is super weird. And folks, there is more than meets the eye about this post, but we'll get to that at the end. I have been dating my boyfriend Mike for just under 18 months. Our relationship has become really serious, and we have even started to discuss things like marriage, children, etc. We moved from England to Wales about 6 months ago because I got a job opportunity that required us to relocate. He was able to convert from working from home, so he stayed employed by his old company. We now live about 70 miles away from our hometown. Because it's so far away, we rarely visit, maybe once every 6 weeks or so. Whenever we visit, we stay with Mike's parents, and every time we go, his sister is incredibly obsessed with Mike and won't leave him alone. It's to the point where it's really weird and almost like she has some weird romantic feelings for him. I've brought this up to Mike, and he says that I'm being ridiculous, but I'm not. For example, she will snuggle up with him on the sofa, so I have to sit somewhere else. She will ask him to take her shopping to places that I don't even like. She makes him take her to the restaurants, and they'll have fancy meals together. It's so weird how she treats him like a boyfriend. They have a holiday to Spain booked for the summer holiday to the town where Mike grew up. They booked this before we were dating, but it's just the two of them going, and it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. I first asked for him to change the booking so that I could come along as well, and I said that I would pay for the extra, obviously. He said that he contacted the travel agents, but they weren't able to change the bookings anymore, and that they couldn't book a separate package for me because the hotel was booked up. Yesterday, I told him that I think it's really weird that he wants to spend 2 weeks alone with her in a foreign country, and when I said this to him, he blew up at me and kicked me out of the house. Like, genuinely kicked me out of the house just for questioning him about this, which has made me feel even more weird than I thought. We ended up having a huge argument, like the biggest we've ever had, and now I'm considering booking a separate hotel nearby to the one that they're staying at, just so I can keep an eye on her. I have been texting him and ringing him, and he hasn't answered or responded to me at all. I don't understand how he doesn't see this as weird, especially considering how obsessed she is with him, as I mentioned earlier. It just makes me feel sick, and I don't know what to do. How do I express to him that this is not normal? How do I show him that there is something weird about his sister and how she treats him? And folks, I have one comment that I would like to read before we make any sort of judgment. And Helen Destroy says, how old is the sister? Because this doesn't sound like they're very close in age. And OP replies, she's 9, but will be 10 this year. I think, folks, that is all the information that we need to make a judgment on this. Amber, what do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think OP is majorly overreacting. A 9-year-old wanting to go to stores an adult lady doesn't want to go to? So shocking her brother would take her there.
Yeah.
Like, just the audacity of her trying to sexualize a very innocent relationship between two siblings.
Yeah, like, oh, she snuggles with him.
She's 9.
She probably snuggles with everyone in her family. What is wrong with this person? She clearly has some very big jealousy issues that I think that she probably should go to therapy and work out. This isn't normal or natural to think that a relationship like this between a brother and a 9-year-old, unless there are other troubling signs like of abuse, that this would be something that is nefarious, right?
Right. Well, and I also don't like how she's making out the 9-year-old to be like this seductress who's going to steal her man.
Yeah.
It's like she's a 9-year-old child who wants to spend time with her big brother.
Yeah. So I think that OP is really disturbed in this particular situation, and the fact that they would question this about a 9-year-old, I think, speaks volumes about what kind of person she is, and it really does not put her in a good light.
No, I honestly don't think she's ready to be in a relationship until she gets some therapy for these jealousy issues, because you should not be in competition with a 9-year-old.
Yeah. So I think that OP, you're probably not actually dating him anymore. This is why he hasn't responded to your calls, is because you're no longer together. So I at least hope that's the case, because I don't think that this is really a healthy relationship for him, and I think that OP probably needs to spend some time in therapy, working through some troubles, before they are ready for an actual serious relationship. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Yelling at My Fiance After He Threw Out My Grandmother's Cake? Hi everyone, and before the story, I would like to preface this that this might not be the best written, as I'm very rough place right now and my English isn't my first language. So I'm a 25-year-old female and I've been engaged to my fiance, a 27-year-old male, for 2 years now, and I cannot imagine my life without him, at least until the last few days. My fiance, who I will call M for the story, is your typical gym guy. He works out about 7 times a week and eats what many people online call a carnivore diet, which consists mainly of meat and other proteins. I like how he takes health seriously, but sometimes he enforces this on me a bit too much for my liking. I love to bake. It's been my passion ever since I was a child, and we've had similar arguments in the past when he has disposed of my baked goods in an effort to make me healthier. My love of baking came from my grandmother, and she has late-stage Alzheimer's, and she does not recognize me anymore. It has been our little tradition to bake for each other on special occasions, but ever since her health deteriorated, we haven't done it. Her 81st birthday is coming up, and I decided to do her a favor, lemon cake with raspberry and lemon buttercream. I left it in the fridge overnight before I go to visit her with my parents. The problem arose when I looked for the cake in the morning and it wasn't there. I panicked and I called my fiance to ask him if he had moved it when getting something out of the fridge. He is currently away on a business trip and left after I had put the cake in the fridge and gone to bed. He told me that he had thrown it out and that I shouldn't be indulging in such sugary foods. I screamed at him and I told him what I ate was none of his business, and I hung up. Since then, he has rang and messaged me multiple times, but I have ignored it. I'm so devastated, in particular, as I really wanted this moment with my grandmother, and there is a very good chance this may be her last birthday. He is coming home tonight, and I don't know whether I want to face him. At the same time, my friends have said that I'm overreacting and I need to get over myself. Am I the jerk for being upset with him? And folks, there is an update to this one. Hi everyone, many people have asked me for an update to my earlier post, and since I posted and it was removed, I had to do it here. Despite all that, me and my family had a lovely day, and my grandmother is as well as she can be with a condition. First of all, I would thank you all for each who commented on the post and gave me so much advice. I feel like some sort of biblical revelation about my relationship has occurred. I'd like to answer some questions before my update, but just scroll down if you don't want to see them. Did he know what the cake was for? While I didn't explicitly tell him what it was for, he knows that the cake was made and it was her favorite. He knew that it was her birthday, and he knew very well about our tradition. So no, he wasn't told, but I would have thought that he would infer that this was the case before trashing it. Were my friends originally his? Yes, we moved to our current city about a year ago because of his job, and I had to leave behind my friend group, as I now live too far to see them. He introduced me to many of his work colleagues, and they are now my friends. Does he have any reason to be concerned? I don't believe so, as I'm relatively healthy and I don't eat baked goods every day. I'm just also a ballet dancer, and I have been since the age of 4. For anyone who is curious, I'm 5'7", and I'm 25 years old and about 102 pounds. Now for the story. I had ignored calls all day and was honestly dreading his return. The argument started pretty much as soon as he got through the door. He was mad that I ignored his calls over a stupid cake. I told him that it was much more than that, and he rolled his eyes at me. The fight lasted about 20 minutes. Finally, when I told him that he had robbed me of the special moment, he laughed and said, I could have brought a herd of elephants into the room and that old bat wouldn't have noticed. I just began to cry immediately that someone I love so much would say something like that about my family, who I love so dearly. I took off my ring and I threw it at him before walking out. He called after me, telling me he loved me and that we could make it work, but there was nothing left to salvage. Not only has he broken my trust, but my whole heart. I have driven down to my sister's house, which is an hour away, and we have decided to bake her another cake to see her sometime next week. Now comes the embarrassing moment of telling everyone that the wedding is off 2 months beforehand. Thank you everyone for your kind words, and I hope this was the update you wanted. Alright folks, what do you think?
Well, I'm glad that OP was able to get out of this situation. I mean, even just from the first post, this man was not being a good partner. You know, it's one thing to suggest that someone try a certain diet.
Yeah.
It's another thing to throw out their foods and control them.
Yeah.
This was a power and control type of thing. He was trying to force Opie to have the diet he wanted of her. She's an adult. She can make her own decisions.
Yeah.
But to top that off with those awful things he said about her grandmother, like, I don't blame Opie at all for throwing the ring at him and getting out of there. Like, I'm very glad she got to see that side of him before the wedding because...
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. It's like, there's 2 months till the wedding, and fortunately she dodged a giant bullet. And I think that this is really what it boils down to. What he did here was completely unacceptable. Now, if OP... I have a feeling that he feels like he's the moral authority on diet, right? Because there's a lot of people who would argue that a carnivore diet like that isn't healthy as well. Mm-hmm. And that a plant-based diet is more healthy, right? Or a plant-centric diet. Now... the thing is that you can have whatever diet you want, but that doesn't mean that you get to choose what everyone else's diet is. And I would understand if, like, OP was, you know, obese and was having a lot of hard time controlling how they eat, and had asked him to, like, you know, if you ever see me with, like, these foods or treats and stuff like that, can you dispose of them because I just sometimes can't feel like I can control myself. That would be a different situation, right?
There's the element of consent there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, it doesn't matter your partner's situation. If they have not agreed to have you throw out their sweets, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, and that's really what it boils down to, is the matter of consent, the matter of knowing whether or not you have a problem with food or whatnot. And I just feel like he is completely in the wrong here, and I'm glad that OP is getting away from him. Like you said, like the comment about their grandmother on top of that is just like such a cringeworthy thing to say about another human being. This is a human being, right? Not whatever, he's just so dehumanizing towards the grandmother. She has a medical condition. It doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve love and respect.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think OP, huge bullet dodged, and I hope that you have a happy life. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Policeman, you're not allowed to fish here. Max, I'm not fishing. I'm giving my pet worm a bath.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what's happening. You're fooling everyone. You're fooling everyone. And I have licorice spice. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, folks. I can't believe it. We made it to the end of the week. Congratulations. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it special.
Treat the special people in your life with love and respect.
I think that is a great moral. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.